Okay, so let's get started. Good day, everyone. Once again, thanks for joining this insightful webinar put together by Plasma Foundation in collaboration with Reliance Infosystems. My name is Paul, and I'm privileged to be the anchor of this great event today. On our event agenda, we have the welcome and opening remarks, the keynote address, panel of discussion, and the Q&A session as well. Then we have our closing remarks. Please stay connected to us till the end of this event, as it actually promises to be a brief, insightful, and very educative one, right? So do stick around. Okay, so before we proceed, I would like to mention that this event is recorded for documentation purposes, and all mics are muted to ensure orderliness. And please feel free to ask your questions and make your contributions in the chat window of this event, right? We would also like to know what part of the world you're joining us from this morning. So please feel free to drop your comments in the chat box. Would like to know where you're joining us from. I see some comments already popping up, and is joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. I would like to see a lot more comments in the chat window as we proceed. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier at the start, this event is actually hosted by Plasma Foundation in collaboration with Reliance Infosystems. So, before we proceed into the crux of the event, I would like to briefly talk about Plasma Foundation, right? So, what is Plasma Foundation? Who are we, right? Plasma Foundation is actually the corporate social responsibility arm of a top global ICT organization, widely known as Reliance Infosystems. Plasma Foundation is a non-profit organization, and we are focused on closing the gaps between members of society who are actually living in poverty and those who are living a subsistence livelihood, right? So we work on actually achieving our goals as an organization by combating poverty, hunger, and the likes of it, while promoting good health care and championing quality education. It's no surprise that we are here gathered today, still discussing a topic that borders around education and its impacts in our society, right? So we are on a mission to actually empower individuals to be resourceful and become contributors to society with a vision to inspire and create a happier and better life, as well as a self-reliant life for everyone in society. Plasma Foundation is value driven. Our core values remain empathy, innovation, service to humanity, servant leadership, impact, and service excellence. So, in a nutshell, that is who we are as an organization. So, when you hear Plasma, that is just a summary of who we are. I wouldn't want to delve so deep into it today, because if I start talking about Plasma, it's going to eat into our time a lot, and we have a lot of topics to discuss today. So, some of us might actually be asking ourselves, why are we gathered here to discuss the topic learning for lasting peace, the global impact of education on behavioral patterns? Why is it so important? Well, it's actually because global peace is not a luxury, right? And it's not negotiable. It's something that we totally need, right? It's an absolute necessity for our survival as humans, and also for the advancement of our society. So the truth remains that a topic that is as important as this is one that we cannot afford to ignore, right? So discussing and learning from this topic will actually help us become the change that we want to see in our society, and also empower us to become catalysts for positive change globally, right? So even outside of our immediate environment and all. So today, to actually discuss this very important topic, I have with me a wonderful set of panelists that will be discussing this with today. And today I have Andy Eberichukwu, who is an education enthusiast and a VP at Plasma Foundation. Good to have you on the lineup today, Andy.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome everyone to today's webinar.
Thank you, Andy. Next on our list of panelists, we have Ms. Fasuye Ayotumi, who is a teacher, trainer, and education consultant. You're welcome to the webinar, Ms. Fasuye. Okay, so up next we have Tutu Akisubure, and she's actually the country manager of Reliance Infosystems Botswana, and she's one person that is pretty passionate about education. So it's no surprise that we have her on our lineup today, right? Tutu, good to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Paul and Dumelang. Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good day, Tutu. I think what you just said is probably good day in Botswana, right? In Botswana.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Okay, so that's great. Also on our list of panelists, and today we have a DevOps engineer. Yes, we have a tech bro in the house, but one that is very passionate about education as well. Good to have you with us today in Upfront.
Good day, everyone, and thanks for the introduction, Paul. I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion.
Thank you. So I see we have Ms. Fasuye with us. Yes, Ms. Fasuye, would you like to say hello to everyone?
I
think you had a bit of technical glitch
Good
before.
morning. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to some very enriching discussions this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also looking forward to hearing you speak to us about some of the questions and topic that we actually have to discuss today. So, I mean, we also have my humble self, your anchor for today, and I remain Paul Olarewaju. Okay, so without further ado, I would like us to delve straight into the topic of the day, right? Of which, like I mentioned earlier, is learning for lasting peace, the global impact of education on behavioral patterns, right? So to start with, I would like to ask Ms. Fasuye a question. What is education and how important do you think education is in our society today?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm only going to say it quickly that education is life. And that is what it means for me. If we hang on to John Dewey's description when he talks about education not being a preparation for life, that education is life itself. So what do we mean by that? Of course, we all know that an uneducated mind is a brute. A man without education is the same as an animal. What makes us different is the fact that we have an education and we can pass on an education, whether formally or informally. Human beings are trained to learn. We are born to learn. And that is why educators will let us know that learning starts from birth. Human beings have the capacity to learn, and that's why they are not beasts. And so when children have the opportunity to be schooled, for learning to take place, the essence of that education is for them to take out what has been conceptualized, what has been taught, what they have learned, and apply that to their lives. That is how personalities are formed. That is how behavioral patterns are formed. Let me give you an example. Okay, so educators will say that learning is when there is a change in behavior, right? That's just keeping it very simple. And how does that happen? So a child comes into the classroom, and from what the child has been able to gather from the environment, somebody is now putting a name or a tab to some of the things that has been learned, and then we're talking about personal hygiene, for instance. So a child has a topic as personal hygiene in maybe social studies or health education or home economics at the primary level. That child learns that, okay, so my mom gives me a bath because I need to be clean personally. Now, it is the responsibility of that child as that child grows up, as it matures in his learning, as it continues to be educated, to see the link between his personal hygiene and his everyday behavior. So you don't limit that to a one-time off experience. It's a continuum. So if you've been having your bath since you were born, and then somebody reflects on that and then says, oh, okay, so the reason why I'm having my bath is for my personal hygiene and for my health. And so you see that you continue to take your bath all through your life. That's education. Okay, so education is that thing that starts even from birth and continues. I think what we need to be addressing is the quality of our education to transform behavior. And I'm hoping that those are the kind of the discussions that we're going to be having today. What do we need to do in our educational system to ensure that behavior is transformed? Or is it just a matter of people getting onto this rote learning, passing their exams, attaining certificates, they come out of the university, and then there's no change of behavior? That's not an education. The essence of education is to modify behavior and make us better people. So I'm looking forward to how this discussion continues so that we can really have a clear insight into what education should be doing for us, especially in regards to provide lasting peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pasui. That was fantastic. I mean, so some of the things I picked there, education isn't just the formal one, right? We also have the informal education. So whenever we talk about education, sometimes people tend to just think of the four walls of the classroom and they think, okay, that's what education is limited to. But I mean, it transcends the four walls of the classroom. And also, like you mentioned, I mean, passing through a school doesn't really mean that you're educated. You need to let the school pass through you as well, right? So it needs to rub off you so people would actually know that when they see you, they will be able to say, this person is educated, not just because you probably have a certificate to show for it, but because of the way you behave, the way you act, right? So those are very key points, and thank you for sharing. So I think you've laid a pretty good foundation for our discussion today, right? And I would like to ask Tutu my next question. So Tutu, in addressing behavioral patterns, how can educational advocacy play a pivotal role in fostering inclusivity, combating issues such as discrimination, tribalism, xenophobia, and hate speech in our society?
Thank you, Paul, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar today. We are diving into a profoundly significant topic, right? The pivotal role of educational advocacy, especially in fostering inclusivity. So just like your question, Paul, I just want to reflect on a personal experience first that many of us, I'm sure we can recall moments in which we were tested and our resilience was shaped, our understanding of what inclusivity is, right? So when you speak of inclusivity, you know, for instance, you can consider myself as a young girl. You know, I was bullied for wearing glasses. They used to call me Four Eyes. I'm sure wherever you are from, there's names for people like that as well, right? And these experiences are not isolated. They're not unique to me, and they are shared by countless individuals around the globe. And it highlights the urgency or the need for educational environments which actually promote understanding and respect for all. So inclusivity means that we have to understand how to involve everyone despite the differences that we have. So I want us to start with, first of all, awareness and education. So we can take an example of South Africa, where post-apartheid educational reforms have really been instrumental. So South Africa revised its curriculum to include comprehensive history lessons on the nation's diverse cultures and the effects of apartheid. And this is something that took significant strides towards healing and uniting a once divided society. And this approach, it mirrors the need to educate our youth about diversity and tolerance from an early age, right? In a way where we'll be able to address the prejudices that may lead to bullying and discrimination. We must help them understand the uniqueness of everyone, and that there is no problem in us being different, right? It's something that we need to accept, and we should be able to live in a society that is inclusive. And again, we can move on to another point, which is critical thinking and empathy development. So there are programs, for example, in Canada, one that is called Roots of Empathy, which has really become even more relevant to this day, where we foster empathy in children through interactive sessions that explore feelings and perspectives. This is where, in this program, directly we try to combat the root causes of bullying, right? So it's a vivid reminder of how nurturing empathy and understanding from a young age can actually create an inclusive and supportive environment for everyone. Empathy means I learn, to walk in your shoes instead of me sympathizing and saying, oh, I'm sorry about how you feel, but I put myself in your shoes and understand where you're coming from, right? And in this manner, we can actually address or help to deal with issues of bullying, right? And identity, right? So just like wearing glasses, right? So if somebody empathizes that maybe you have weaknesses with your eyes and all of that, if they understood that, then it's not something to make fun of. Another point we can talk about in this regard is policy and curriculum reform. And this is in an example what they're doing in the United States on Title IX. So this is a beacon of hope. It's a testament to the power of policy in creating educational spaces where every student, regardless of their gender, their appearance, or their belief, they can actually feel safe and valued, right? So in America, this Title IX is actually a law that underscores the importance of institutional support in safeguarding the rights and dignity of all students. Religion, so many things come into play. And a lot of people are discriminated against. A lot of people are bullied, especially online even now, for who you are or what you associate with. And this is unacceptable. We can also touch on empowerment through education, right? And this is exemplified by organizations like Girls Education Challenge, which shows education as a tool for social change. Yes, I'm saying girls, right? Because for a very long time, there has been this issue of inclusivity for girls being able to go to school, so on and so forth, right? So there are these organizations. I mean, boys, not that we are putting them on the side. There are these organizations and programs, initiatives that actually empower young women so that they can actually overcome barriers. And these barriers include discrimination and bullying, where we are paving a way for a more inclusive and equal society. And it's a powerful reminder that education actually is a force for empowering individuals to rise above the challenge, right? And second to last, community engagement and dialogue. It's very important in our society. Where I was born and raised, Botswana, there's an approach where they celebrate diverse cultures through community dialogue. So they have these dialogues, they have festivals, and these actually offer a blueprint to foster unity and understanding. So these platforms also serve as venues for addressing and overcoming the challenges that are posed by bullying, discrimination, and instead it promotes a culture of empathy and respect. Imagine countries with, Nigeria has over 200 million people, and different ethnicities, tribes, and the likes, right? So how do we unify a nation like that, right? So because these children, as they grow up in the environment, whatever is of practice, whatever is acceptable is what they would actually also eventually consume. So it is important that we engage in conversations that can help them, right? And lastly, let me speak on the Global Citizenship Education by UNESCO, which exemplifies the broader vision of preparing students not only as informed citizens, but as compassionate individuals. Individuals will be able to navigate and challenge societal issues. If there's bullying, don't just be quiet, right? So if somebody's being bullied for who they are and how they are, or their religion or faith, it's important to know how to address this, of course, in a manner that won't put you at risk. So this education fosters a sense of global responsibility and mutual respect, essentially combating intolerance and exclusion. So in conclusion, or to conclude, let me say that these shared experiences, I believe everybody here on this webinar today, at some level has faced either hate speech, some form of bullying, whether it's about how you appear, your belief, this is important for us to know that there's an underscore in the critical need for educational advocacy in building inclusive society. So we must target advocacy, policy reform, community engagement, education generally in itself, right? As a way to hold the promise of a future where every child can feel valued and respected for who they are. Thank you, Paul, for your attention, and I look forward to even more from my colleagues and those that are here with us today in this audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tutu. I think Tutu touched extensively on the need for education when it comes to some negative acts or behaviors within our society, to the hate speech, xenophobia, and the likes, right? And I mean, when we look at it critically, no one was actually born hating on another person. No one was born being xenophobic or being maybe a racist or anything, right? These are actually some bad behaviors, attitude, acts that people pick up along the way as they grow. So if people are picking up all of this, right, we do have our own responsibility as responsible members of society to use education to combat all of this so that we don't have more people or more young ones growing into all of these habits, right? So thank you once again, Tutu. At this point, I would like to ask Enoch a question. Enoch, I mean, being a tech group, what innovative strategies do you think can be implemented to actually bridge the digital divide and make quality education accessible to all, thereby ensuring sustainable educational development on a global scale? Enoch, I would like to hear from you.
All right, thank you, Paul. That's a very good question. So I believe to effectively bridge the digital divide and ensure access to quality education for all, there are several innovative strategies that we can employ. So firstly, for me, I think we should ensure that internet access is top priority. Imagine a scenario where internet access is both affordable and widespread, especially in underserved communities. By tackling financial barriers to online resources, we could have a world of open possibilities and a lot of learning opportunities for everyone. So for example, here in Ghana, we have an NGO called Lenira. And what they do is they visit remote villages that are cut off from cabled internet to provide them with satellite internet connection. I think this is something that other NGOs could collaborate with maybe the public sector to have some of these communities benefit from. Okay, and next for me, I think we should not overlook the importance of providing the necessary tools. And this means distributing devices like computers or tablets to those in need. And it goes just beyond giving out the devices, okay? We should also empower the individuals with digital literacy skills. And this will ensure that both the students and educators can effectively navigate and utilize these digital platforms that we are providing them, and would further enhance learning experiences. Another thing is the content. The content should be another critical area of focus. The accessibility of what we are providing them, the digital material. It should include learners with disabilities as well. And it should also be culturally relevant to the people, and available in multiple languages. And this would ensure that we meet the diverse needs of learners worldwide. In addition, supporting organizations that work toward educational equity is very crucial. We can collaborate with NGOs or community groups and maybe the private sector as well to leverage their expertise and resources and our networks as well, to expand the reach and impact of digitalization. We should also explore innovative financing models to make technology more accessible to lower income families. Options like microloans or subsidized pricing could help ensure that the cost is not a barrier to accessing quality education, right? Another thing we should also look at is the public-private partnerships, okay? It should be the cornerstone of some of the things we would do to ensure that we are bridging the digital divide. So by combining the strengths and resources of both these sectors, we can distribute things like learning kits, develop engaging lessons, and also ensure that remote learning is a viable and effective option for students globally, okay? And Tutu touched on this a bit, but let me add to it. She talked about inclusivity. This is something we must not overlook, okay? We should also provide adaptive technologies and software to ensure that digital educational efforts include learners with various disabilities, like she mentioned. For students who are, let's say, visually impaired, screen readers can be added to these digital devices that we are giving them. And then text-to-speech can also be leveraged to make sure that learners with, let's say, dyslexia can learn by reading, the computer can read text aloud for them to follow the class. And also an example would be for students who are deaf or hard of hearing, I believe like providing closed captions for videos or additionally incorporating sign language into live classes can make learning more inclusive for them as well. Finally, Tutu also touched on this, but let me add to that. Adopting a gender-sensitive approach to education is also very crucial. We should implement targeted strategies to support women and girls to overcome specific barriers they face in accessing quality education. And this would include providing financial, logistical or societal support mechanisms for them to be able to enjoy quality education. In summary, I believe by adopting these strategies, we will not only bridge the digital divide, but will ensure quality education is accessible to everyone, which would in turn pave a way to a brighter and more educated future. Thank you, Paul, and I look forward to the submissions of other participants.
Thank you, Enoch. So like you clearly stated, technology has a great role to play in this. And also, this isn't a one-horse race or a one-man show. We also need collaborative efforts, right? And also ensuring that even when technological tools are being provided, these people are also equipped or empowered to be able to make use of them judiciously and stay educated. So, something tells me that before we proceed, something tells me Ms. Fasoyi would have some other things to chime in on. So I'd like to go back to her first before we proceed to hear from the next speaker. Ms. Fasoyi, is my...
yes,
is
please.
My, okay.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm just
so
looking
like
at the angle at which we're looking at all of this. Okay, yes. So we're talking about access to technology and what we need to do. Are we thinking about the less privileged, the children that are out of school? Are we thinking about the social systems that we have in place right now in sub-Saharan Africa? Because I want to tell you that for those of us that are on this call, we are the privileged group. The fact that you have access to a phone or to a laptop that can make you connect to this is that you are in a privileged class, as it were. So what initiatives do we have? Smile is doing a whole lot, Reliance Infosystem is doing a whole lot. Can we start to think about what we need to do if we are really looking for this lasting peace? Where the lasting peace is going to come from? It's going to be from those in the creeks. It's going to be from those children in the villages. It's going to be from the Almajiris that do not have an access to basic education. And that is what we're currently struggling with. Because like I said earlier, when people do not have basic information, there's no how the beast in them will not rise to the surface. It is education that empowers us. It is education that tells you the difference between right and wrong. It is education. That's why you can clearly see the difference between someone who has gone to school and someone who has not. But look at the situation. We want to leverage on the current social situation in Nigeria, for instance. You're seeing behavior on our streets these days that you're wondering if these people ever went to school. What has happened to our education? So there are too many factors that we need to contend with. I'm glad that we're starting the discussions, but I'm going to be advocating that it shouldn't be limited to just this talk. We need to walk the talk. What concrete plans do we have to get these people on board? I'll rest for now. There's so much to say, but let's just keep it for now.
Thank you, Ms. Fasui, for that. At this point, I would like to go to our comment section and see what our esteemed webinar attendees have to say, if we have some contributions. Okay, so I see some wonderful quotes here from Mohammed, and the quotes are, okay, original quotes from Nelson Mandela, and they are pretty good ones. So he said, education is the most powerful weapon which can be used to change the world. Then the power of education extends beyond the development of skills. We need it for an economic success, right? And it actually contributes to nation building and reconciliation. So, I mean, it's just the importance of education transcends just something to ensure that, okay, economically we are successful as humans, but something that is quite needed for nation building and reconciliation, of which is in line with what we're discussing today when we talk about lasting peace, and we're also talking about behavioral patterns, right? Let me quickly scan through. Okay, yes, Ms. Ayotumi dropped some words. We need to start engaging partners and donors to extend educational initiatives and even very basic education, that is literacy and numeracy, to less privileged members of society, right? Then we have a question here from Jennifer, and I want like any member of the panel to actually speak to this. So can you explain how early childhood education influences long-term behavioral patterns and decision-making process? Who would like to speak to this, please? Ms. Fasui, Andy, Tuto? Okay, I see Ms.
I'll be glad to respond to that.
Okay, please.
Yes, so I'm just going to ask, if you've ever had a situation where you had a child that maybe started school at age 2, maybe nursery, and a child that went to a nursery school, engaged in all the Montessori activities, nursery rhymes, and all of that. And then you have another child that went to a public school at 6. By the time you're revisiting them at age 18, you will see where the comedians in Nigeria take out the comedy between the Ajebo and the Ajepako. And then you would realize that, yes, the foundation, the early childhood experience is what shapes us to the adults that we turn out to be. You cannot take out, educators will always talk about nature and nurture as the factors that shape personalities. So when a child has a solid foundation, a platform to start out life, there is no end to what that child can do. He won't have to struggle so much like his contemporary that started at a later age. And that's why there's a lot of advocacy for early childhood learning, because now we know that it actually has great impact on shaping our future. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe Tuto will want to add something to that.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I think you did cover a lot with a few words. At the moment, I would also like to read out something. I see Mohammed dropped us another message. He said, we, the team of Global Institute of Leadership and Education, are committed and engaged to build the new next generation of leadership and excellence through excellent education and training. I mean, that is quite inspiring. That is really nice. Something in line with what Transmal does with different initiatives, some of which we're going to be seeing in the course of this event. So thank you, Mohammed, for sharing that. Right. Please, let's remember we can always drop our questions, comments, contributions in the chat window of this event. Our contribution as Change Catalyst starts from here. So please remember to engage in the chat window. As promised, I'll be going there once in a while to read what we have to say. Right. Thank you, everyone, for contributing. And so I would just like to remind us once again to use the chat window, please, because the microphones are muted by default, so you might not be able to speak. So thank you all. At this point, I'd like to move to our next question, right? I'd like to hear from Andy. I think before we even proceed to that, I would like to actually hear from Ms. Titi, the Transmal Foundation coordinator. But before I invite her to come speak to us, I'll play a short clip. Please listen and watch, then I'll be right back.
In a world where education holds the key to a brighter future, FundSmile stands at the forefront, passionately striving to bridge the inequality gap, working tirelessly to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Through its innovative initiatives, FundSmile has been dedicating its efforts to kitting up school children, providing them with infrastructure and resources they need to excel in their educational journey.
I appreciate PlusMan for the uniform and the shoes. I am happy for the uniform and the shoe because I know I've before. Thank you, PlusMan.
By tackling the financial obstacles that often hinder access to education, FundSmile is breaking down the walls of inequality, one school kid at a time.
Okay, so thank you for watching the short clip that I just played. It's actually one that just showcased what FundSmile is doing through one of its initiatives known as Kid Up a Child. So the Kid Up a Child initiative is actually one out of different initiatives that we have housed under the EduCare program, right? And what we do with the EduCare program is to cater to the needs of institutions or schools that actually lack the basics that they need to deliver quality education to the wards in their care. So we provide tools, we provide learning materials, we provide necessary support to ensure that these schools actually are able to deliver on what they're supposed to deliver to the children in these schools, right? So I believe Ms. Titi would like to say one or two things about some things that FundSmile or some activities or engagements of FundSmile at the moment. So I would like to invite her to please speak to us. Can you just share with us one or two success stories or examples where FundSmile's initiative have actually made tangible impacts in improving educational opportunities and outcomes in our society?
Thank you so much, Paul. And good day, everyone, wherever you're listening from in the world. And I think before I go to your question, Paul, I have my notepad filled with a lot of information, despite the fact that we've been in this social space for a while. opportunities like this, you will learn when you have people that really know their onions. And I have my notepad filled with all of the information. We've learned about the transformative power of education, how we can use to modify life, shape our behavior that would eventually affect our community, personal growth, and in any way you say it, education is life, which is like a key take-home for me. And back to the question, Plant Smile Foundation is a non-for-profit organization that is well invested in educational sector. Because we understand from all of what the panelists have said earlier, earlier now, there's no doubt that without education, we can't achieve anything. In order for an economy to be successful, in order for our own personal life to be successful, we need education. And this is the information that we at Plant Smile armed ourselves with, knowing fully well that the power of the transformative power of education. And the things that we have invested, looking at all jotting down from, like I earlier stated, from all what our panelists have said. As we were mentioning this, I begin to jot down in what way have Plant Smile been able to do in this aspect. From the short video that we just watch now, we have a program that we call the Educare program that speaks to helping individuals across, especially for individuals that lives in the underserved communities, schools that they are in the poorest of poor places, schools that do not have teachers, schools that have buildings and the pupils are not available because there are not teachers to have them. So one of the major things that Plant Smile does is that we look at these schools and begin to take the problem one at a time. Currently, as we speak, we have over 40 teachers that Plant Smile have employed across 7 government schools in Nigeria. We have a daily feeding that we do in order to complement and sustain the children while they're in class so that they can have more longer hours of learning, where we do over daily 1,000 feeding of children every day across this adopted school by Plant Smile from primary to secondary school. We have been able to kit up over 6,000 children with uniforms, shoes, textbooks, notebooks. We have classroom built in some occasions. We've been to a community where when we got there, the children were practically sitting on the floor to have their, lessons. We have situations where there are like 3 or 4 sections of children, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, everybody lumped together in one particular classroom, being taught by one single teacher, taking 10 minutes with this class, the others are playing while the others are doing, learning. And we are able to provide teachers for them. We also have a situation where we've built classroom, like I said, we have an ICT center because we understand, like one of our panelists said, the importance of technology in today's learning. It's not just learning alone, learning to be able to, for the children in this community to be able to, compete very well with other children in the world, in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. We have like an ICT center where learning takes place. There's 24 hours power. There's 24 hours internet where children can have access to learning. And we have partners, we are seeking partners, we have partners that we are working with in order for them to teach these children in terms of to get certification in some of these IT courses. One of our panelists spoke to the issue of out-of-school children. I remember when we visited a community, when we started out, these schools do not have teachers in core subject areas like mathematics, English, physics, chemistry, what have you. And these are the core subjects for you to be able to enter. I believe it's so in other parts of the world. In order to enter a tertiary institution. But when we enter the schools, these schools do not have teachers in any of these subjects. And they graduate students every year without going through any process of learning. And the children come out graduated. A lot of them, quite a number of them, they are not able to speak, they are not able to write. So they are not able to further their education. So even communicating with them, getting them the basic job to get on with their life, was challenging. So those are the ICT center that Plant Smile has now speak to such individuals. We started creating gaps in order for us, to mitigate those gaps for those people that are out of school. And for those of them that their parents do not see the need because they've already have children that have graduated that don't know how to speak and write. A lot of the parents were discouraged. Why should I send my children to school? I have 2 boys that have already graduated, 2 girls that have already graduated. They can't speak, they can't write. They end up doing menial jobs. So they are not encouraged to send the other younger ones to school. We have to start advocating, having parent-teachers meeting to talk to this parent, to tell them things have changed. Plum Smile is ready here to help. And from all of the discussion that we had from our panelists, we can all agree that the road to a lasting peace through education is a long one. It's not something like one of the panelists have said earlier, it's not something that can be done by one person. We need collaborations, we need partnership. So that's where our Plum Smile by Educare comes in. This Educare creates platform for individuals and organizations to plug in for them to be able to do more impactful intervention programs. People I've seen even from in the course of this webinar, I've been seeing the questions that people are asking, the comment that people are asking. A lot of people are willing to help. Some people do not know how to plug in. People don't know what can we do. We've stated all of these problems. There are children that are not in school. We have problems of lack of teachers. We have a problem of inclusivity. How do we want to bridge this gap? That's where Educare by Plum Smile coming. Is a platform for individuals and organizations to connect, to look up for schools that you can actually help, to see schools that you can, that actually need it help, that they need these intervention programs. And one good thing about this Educare is that it's not just only about donating. There's opportunity to nominate. I've not been to everywhere in the world, even in Nigeria. I know how many states I've visited in Nigeria that we are situated at the moment. But for people that are living in that state, in different states, for schools that you've heard from, maybe from your alma mater, from the schools you've visited or things you've seen, schools that you know they need this benefit, you can nominate them on Educare platform. If you know organization, if you know individuals. We saw a short video now where a kit up a child. One can kit up a child. A drop of water makes the ocean. Imagine everybody on this call now said, okay, fine, let us join hands together and kit up a school. All we have to do is a little contribution from individuals. So it's an opportunity for us to plug in. And I always tell people, when it comes to non-for-profit work, when it comes to this social space, it is not only donation. Partnership is key. Referral may be good. You might have even volunteering. Advocacy is one other good thing. People need to know. You might know individuals, organizations that might be able to help. Because in all of these things that we're doing, the non-profit alone cannot do it. We need the help of the government. We need the help of individuals. We need the help of corporate bodies. So it's an opportunity for us to help plug in and do that impactful intervention that will eventually have a lasting peace on everybody. Because like from the various examples that the panelists have cited, a lot of children are being bullied. The learning starts from home. So it is very important. The key is people having the understanding. I saw a question on the panel, okay, how does the education, have impact on behavioral pattern? It has a lot of impact on it. The way you react to things based on the learning even gives you the ability to learn from other culture. Through the internet now, you can learn anything you want to learn about other people's culture. But let's assume somebody that cannot read and write, those children, like the example that Ms. Fashiri gave, those Almajiri children that have never been to school. There's no way they will be able to learn other people's culture because they cannot see beyond what they know. So it's an opportunity for us, to plug in and do something that is right. I will hand over to Paul to take it up from here. And if you have any further question, you can drop it on the chat box. And you can follow at Plum Smile across any of the social media platform, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can visit our website as well. We are ready to act. We are open to partnership. We are open to questions. If you have any ideas, you can always share with us. The most important thing for us as an organization is for us to be able to have impact. And not just impact on papers, impact on people that will affect our lives. Because every good turns deserve another. There's no way we are not going to have peace if everybody is well informed. Because at the end of the day, for the few people that are informed, there's a little you can do. But if the larger part of the population is well informed, well carried along, know what to do and how to respond to situation, knowing fully well that not violence does not solve problems. It will help all of us in the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Titi Layo. That's the Plum Smile coordinator. You can sense it from the way she spoke about all of this passionately. She's been in the field, she's seen a lot. She knows where the problems are, and you can see it in her eye, you can hear it from her voice. There's a whole lot to be done. Transmar Foundation is doing great works in underserved communities. And I mean, like she said, it's not something just maybe a non-profit organization can do all by itself. There's need for collaboration, support to ensure that we have a better society. So for the benefits of event participants who might actually be wondering how they can contribute to the good works of Transmar Foundation, I'm happy to inform you that you can actually contribute your time and presence, like she said earlier, it's not just by donation. You can donate your time and presence as well, not monetary donation alone. You can actually donate your time and presence. So if you would like to be a Transmar volunteer, kindly scan the black QR code that you can see on your screen right now. Scan the black QR code and you join our volunteer team, meaning that, I mean, your service will actually count for something very important when we look at humanity and our society, right? So please do well to scan the black QR code to quickly fill the form. I will follow up with you. A colleague of mine will also be dropping some links in the chat window, just in case you're unable to scan the QR code. You can also click the link and quickly fill that form, and we'll be in contact with you shortly. Then on my screen as well, you see blue QR code. I spoke about Educare by Transmar the other time, under which we have the Kid of a Child initiative, right? And Ms. Titi also spoke about Educare. So there are a couple of things you can actually do under the Educare program. You can decide to nominate a school in a society that you know actually needs our help, right, to be able to deliver properly. If you know any school in an underserved community that needs some support to be able to deliver quality education, please scan the blue QR code on the screen to go to our page and nominate such a school. So that we do some of our checks and we pick up some of these schools and ensure that we assist them accordingly to ensure that they deliver quality education. I mean, aside nominating a school, on the same page, you can also donate to the cause because like Mr. D had rightly mentioned the other time, assistance, support, all of the support that we can get are actually quite needed to be able to pursue this course and deliver appropriately. So please scan the blue QR code to navigate our Educare page, and you see the donation button as well as the nominate school button. You can do both on the platform, and your input will actually be well appreciated, right? Thank you once again for listening in. It's been a great time with everyone. But at this point, before we wrap this up, I'd like to quickly go to the comment section and take one or two questions quickly before we wrap this up. Let me see. Okay, so not a question. I see some comments, very interesting comments in the chat window. Okay, I see Ms. Fasi has responded to some questions in the chat window. Yes, so Obiageli said something. She said, you might want to explain what you mean by early child learning and at what age should a child start this early child learning? Ms. Fasi, would you like to quickly respond to this, please?
All right. Okay. So I had made a comment there. So early childhood education is from age 0 because educators believe that learning starts from birth. So from age 0 to 5 is what we classify as early childhood education. Ideally, formal education should start from 2.5 years old. That's 30 months. So if you're sending your 2.5-year-old into a nursery section of a good school, yes, that's early childhood education. And of course, we know that children who go through those kind of learning early enough turn out to be better developed adults. Yes, that's a proven track record. So you may want to engage in that. The concept of keeping a child at home till age 5, age 6 doesn't quite work for the 21st century learner.
Okay.
You need to start out early. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ms. Fasuli, for that. I also see my colleague has dropped the link in the chat window. Would like to hear from you. Would like to get your feedback on this event. Please do well to click the link in the chat window, the feedback form link in the chat window, to provide necessary feedback, right? So we can use that to improve on our future events. And there are some other questions that your responses would actually help shape some other activities of ours, right? And would appreciate your feedback. So at this point, I would like to thank all of our panelists. It's been great learning from all of you today. And I'd also like to express our sincere appreciation to all of our webinar participants. Thank you for honoring our invitation to this great event. Please do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Our handle on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram remains @PlumpSmart. And my colleague will also be dropping some links in the chat window so you can actually click and connect with us, right? So you can see all of the great works we're doing and also see some opportunities that you can plug into to better our society. We look forward to connecting with you and having you grace our future events. For now, I'd like to say bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today.